We're going to spend a few minutes talking about building the frame and the flexibility that you have in building a frame for these props. As I mentioned earlier, the base gives you a good foundation. You got to be realistic with it. You got to have common sense with it. The same thing with the frames. The majority of you will probably just be building what we call a basic frame, which is basically a square or a rectangle. So you're going to buy limited parts. Probably one thing that you'll buy is you're going to buy a 90 right here that you'll put on either end of the top of the frame. And then you're going to decide what you want down on the bottom of the frame. You have a couple of choices. It's really important that the vertical piece of the frame that goes into the base section is one solid piece, so you have continuous strength going all the way up and down the bottom. One of the options to do that is a slip T right here, and it just slides right over it. You adjust it, and you have that going halfway between this and the other section of the frame that you're building. Another option, especially if you want to reinforce bigger frames, let's say you're doing an 8x8 or a 10x10, is you want to get one of these. It's a snap T. All you do is you put it right on. It snaps right on like the clear clamp does. And this will enable you, especially on the big ones, because when you get over 6-7 feet with PVC, it gets a little wobbly. On the bigger ones, you're going to want to actually maybe have a section, one of these on each of the 4 sides, and then have a what's my word I'm looking for? Have a cross in the middle, and that'll reinforce it and keep it straight. Once you get done with the basic props, you may decide that you want to build some advanced props. Here we've built a frame that's for a 10 by 15 tilted prop. Okay, and all the blueprints for just about everything you need are on the website, and you should feel free to tailor any of these blueprints for what you need. And as you see, basically, we had to reinforce on one inside part of it. We added like 2-inch PVC to kind of stabilize it. We probably could have done this with 1.25 PVC. You also, on this kind of stuff, you may want to actually run another section of PVC down the sides just to stabilize everything. When we get to the moving part of the videos here in a second, you understand about the stabilization. This is not an exact science, people. I mean, you've really got to play with it and work with it. We highly recommend that when you build things like this the first time, that you go ahead and get tapping screws and drill a hole and put the tapping screws in each of the stress points. Duct tape works good occasionally if you need to use that, but most importantly, you got to think about how you're going to move it and how stable it is while you're going to move it. There's a lot of, having the 3 holes here, there's a lot of variables on what you can do with the actual frame. You could support it, you can have one going to the other, and you can do a lot of different things. Now you have this really cool tilted prop, and you've got to figure out how to get it on and off the field. So we've kind of come up with a moving system, and it really works surprisingly well. We're going to be supplying you, as part of the, if you decide to purchase it, basically a kit that has parachute cord in it. It's the strongest thing you can find. We're also going to have PVC for a handle. We're also going to have clips that they can clip into the eye bolts. We recommend that when you have rows of the bases, that you attach cord through the bases, kind of like what we did here. You want the cord to be as tight as possible all the way through. Now, if you have multiple rows, for example, we have 2 rows right here of bases, you probably should have 2 people pulling it, okay? And if you have a really long one, like a 4x32 or something like that, you probably should have another person pulling it in the middle. But basically what the cords do is it stabilizes the bases. As we pull it, you're going to see that it does wobble a little bit, but it's not that bad. And it's affordable, which is what we're trying to do. Now, before we start pulling this, I want to remind you once again, please do everything in your power, especially with these big props, to stabilize the props. Once you get them, you first initially made, use tap screws, put them in, really secure it. That's really critical, or it's all going to fall apart. Another suggestion is, once you put it together, you're going to have to figure out a way to take it apart very quickly. So be sure to number all the pieces and practice doing this. So I know you're going to have to get on the field quickly and then off the field and taking them apart. So we're going to try to move this bad boy now. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, go. The golf court would look a lot easier on this. We are not really in the world's greatest marching band field. The old expression when I was a high school band director was having to march on cow pastures, and that's literally kind of what we're doing here. We're in our front yard here in North Carolina. If it could work on this, it could work anywhere. What we want to try doing now is we're going to try to turn it slowly, okay? Here we go, DJ. Send it to the left. Keep going. We're done with our performance. It wasn't a great performance today due to the situation and the weather and all that, but we did want to give you an idea on how the framing system works and also how to do the moving system. We're going to kind of head on down through the track right now. One final thing that we forgot to note, we did all this with the less expensive casters. The other ones are a little wider and a little bigger, so they'll even do better. So we hope you enjoy what we've done with this site. We hope you take our ideas and make them better. We've worked hard to come up with this, but this has all happened in a very short period of time. We really want and really feel that if you take the basic ideas and the basic concepts that we've come up with and tailor them for your needs, that you're going to develop a very nice system for moving props. Thank you, and we're gone now. Let's go, DJ.